Today I'm going out to the Ideal Home exhibition in Olympia. It's an exhibition that's been running for many years and it shows you innovative ideas for your home. Gadgets, gizmos, everything from kitchen appliances to solar panels. So today I'm going to be looking at small things that you might be able to use in tiny home, small space living, and maybe even on a narrowboat. My name's Marianne and I am part-time boater. That's our train. Well, we're in the Ideal Home exhibition at Olympia, and these are some giant lampshades we're looking at. Amazing. Well, I'm at the Ideal Home exhibition, as I said I was going to be today, and I was looking for things for small space living. Haven't found anything till now, and I've come across Conker living, so this is what it's like. Hi there, may I have your name please?
It's Jag Virdie.
Jag Virdie, okay. And what are you in relation to Conker living?
I'm the designer and the owner of the business.
My word! I've struck gold, haven't I? Okay, well, I was very impressed with the interior of the cabins. Do you call them cabins, spheres?
Whatever you like, you can call them a cabin, you can call them a pod.
What I was impressed with was the fact that everything you needed was within the spheres. However, one thing that did strike me was, where do you store things such as clothes and cooking utensils and all of that those sort of items?
Just to qualify it, we built this for people to actually walk around the space, like IKEA, one-way system, so that nobody went back on themselves.
Right.
So having to put a second door in each room, we lost a lot of space. So therefore, some of the features like wardrobes, hanging spaces, storage systems, they're not installed. But underneath each of the Conkers, there is a cavernous space that has access from the centre panel of each Conker to store stuff.
Brilliant. So there is more storage than meets the eye with the spheres.
So it's an upside down house. The attic is below your feet.
That's amazing. What else can you tell me about the spheres? Why did you design them?
For me, my kids wanted a tree house, and we decided to build a sphere which we hung between two trees in our back garden. As we stood back to admire it, my wife just basically came up with it looks just like a Conker, hence the name was born. And the other things to say about it is the Conker is completely built on eco credentials. So automotive and aerospace engineer, so we're going to talk about the chassis. Chassis is a steel galvanized chassis which is heavy, so it keeps the center of gravity low. Then it has an aluminium body which is 100% recycled aluminium, and so on and so on. Everything we use inside the Conkers is all about making sure that we use the recycled materials or fully recyclable. The energy requirements for the Conkers is about 750 watts, because it's got over 230 millimeters of insulation all around the Conker, and it comes standard with heat recovery system. It comes standard with all the electrics that you want. It comes standard with underfloor heating, and so it's basically ready to plug and play. You just need to add your furniture.
So it's very eco-friendly then?
We say that this is our first step to getting there. So we manufacture locally. In Cheshire. Our suppliers are within a 200-mile radius. We only use light transport to transport the Conkers,
right.
And we employ local people to build them. And the ethics, what we're trying to use is that if there's a dirty material out there, as opposed to let's say an honest material, i.e. we know what recycled aluminium is because
yes.
It's got a grading on it.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what it is and how it's been made. So we're trying to select materials which are honest in their manufacture, let's say, so
right.
we can then track what carbon footprint they've got. We haven't managed it yet, but we've committed to the Climate Hub Agreement,
right.
Which is carbon neutral by 2030. We're hoping we're going to be there way before then, because we're putting steps in place to do that. And as always, our focus is energy usage. So as an individual, I want to reduce the amount of energy I use when I'm at home. So one way is that we have passive buildings. The Conker isn't passive, but we're getting somewhere close.
When it comes to furniture, would standard furniture fit in there, or do we have to have it bespoke?
Both work, but bespoke means that you're using the space properly. And as you can see inside, we've got a sofa that wraps around one of the walls, so that's designed specially to fit the Conker space, utilising maximum surfaces around the Conker.
Brilliant. The silver one,
Yeah.
just over there.
Yeah.
Now, I asked the question earlier about could all of these be based on one level, so that you have single level living for people who maybe cannot climb stairs and things? So is that feasible?
Absolutely. You know, it's all feasible. And if you think about the premise that we started with, which was the idea of what's a family. So a family is two individuals having children. So when you first start off, you haven't got a great deal of money, and when you don't have money, you want to get the cheapest and the best place that you can afford.
Right.
So two Conkers together with a bedroom and a living space with a kitchen area, diner, and then when your baby arrives, you can actually call us and say, can we have another bedroom to attach to the Conker? So you can attach another room to your existing structure.
Wow.
And then imagine that baby grows up, and then what happens? They want their own space. So you can detach their shell and they can take it with them, and there might be a partner who's got their own shell, and they can make the two things together and have their own little space for themselves. So the house can expand as your family grows and contract as they leave home.
And I noticed that the silver sphere,
Yeah.
it seems to have the bottom part of it cut off.
Yeah.
I suppose that's to make it level to the ground.
Yes, so we didn't want to leave out and sort of like discriminate against wheelchairs. So the semi-sphere or the Conker Igloo is all about access. So we can actually put a ramp in front of it, a shallow ramp which allows a wheelchair to roll into it. And the other thing is about planning. The Conker is designed to meet permitted planning regulations for a detached house and a semi-detached house and so on. So the different heights also allow us to service more of the requirements for individuals. But obviously the obvious thing to say is that always check that you have permission, you have no restrictions on your deeds to have any of these.
Okay. Is it possible to have the sphere embedded in the soil, or does that negate its mobility or the planning regulations, so that it looks neater than as it does in the ideal home? Obviously this is a false situation,
yeah,
but have you tried it partially embedded in the soil or not, or does that require foundations and all the rest of it?
The Conker is designed not to require foundations because it's so light in weight. It just has 4 spots which need to be just compacted ground, and you can sit it on there. You can use earth screws to screw it down. But your question about the ability to sink them into the ground, yes, that would negate your portability for planning permission. The Conker is a portable building which you can move around, and it's because it's lightweight. If 1 year you had it installed in one corner and you thought, actually, that was a mistake, I want to move it to the other side. With the wheels that we can provide for you, you can just jack it up slightly off the ground and you can move it to another corner of your garden.
Okay. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's very affordable housing for younger people as well.
It is. We're trying to push the envelope from the point of view that the current construction industry is focused on certain materials, and they're sort of locked into the way that construction takes place, where you buy materials and you take them home and you cut them and you make something from it. Yeah. This is the opposite way around. You don't buy a car and you think, oh, today I'm going to go and buy a car, I'm going to go and buy the materials,
yeah.
and I'm going to build my own.
No,
you don't do that.
No.
This is exactly what we're doing with Conker Living, where we're investing up front to create the product before it goes to the consumer. So this is basically an aircraft on legs, or a car on legs. So we're investing up front to ensure that it meets all the regulations that it needs to.
And if somebody wanted to expand the sphere, presumably they just get in touch with you. You would come along with the sphere and the connecting parts, I suppose you'd say?
The tubes.
The tubes, okay.
Yeah, or the corridor.
The corridor, I like the corridor, yeah.
So we've got something called the bridge. That is put in first, and then the corridors go on, and they're made watertight, so that 2 Conkers can be connected together quite easily. It is designed for the user, rather than the users getting used to living in certain structures. You know, we want to create something that expands and contracts.
Right.
So almost as if, you know, rather than having a car for sale, you could have a room for sale, so people can deconnect it. And take it with them and connect it to their Conker, so you could have the second use value to it as well.
And I noticed in there, it is full living accommodation with shower, a toilet. Where does that waste go?
So there's 2 or 3 different options. You can have a caravan style bullet, you know, with the blue loo or whatever it's called.
Yes.
So you just empty it when you need to.
Okay.
And so fresh water, you might need to carry it in a bottle. So the other, the most common one is actually plumbing it straight into the drainage system. So you have, you know, so mains water, and you have mains drains. and the third option is a waterless loo, and so we can also do something with a waterless loo, but then you also need fresh water anyway. So whether you want to, sort of extend your house water supply over to the Conker, or your business water supply over to the Conker, it's, there are lots of options to deal with.
Okay, once it's plumbed in, does that remove its portability, or can that just be disconnected and it moved to a different location?
So going back to planning regulations, there are complications when you actually have the plumbed-in system. So it needs to be portable to be able to meet the regulations. So you can have an office with electric supply, or solar panels or whatever, but then you need to actually start investigating, can you connect it directly to the mains, can you have etc, etc. So we just say, just check the restrictions on your own property.
Okay, so alongside the purchase cost of the sphere, then a customer would need to research the additional costs of either plumbing in to water and sewage if they wanted to make it that structure, and also to get in touch with their council to check rules and regulations and move forward from there. But it still makes it a very affordable living space compared to what you would have to pay, I would imagine, if you bought bricks and mortar.
Yeah, it's you can't compare it because there's no mess or fuss with the Conker.
It's a prefab, isn't it?
Prefab, finished to a very high standard. It arrives, and within 2 hours, potentially, it's fully plumbed in, ready to plug and play.
Wow. I am truly impressed, I have to say, with it.
Ambitions are huge, and we're hoping that we can change the way we think about our living environment.
And the sizes that you have here, if I just pan round, the sizes that you have here, are they the optimum size that you would consider right for the Conker, or are there plans to maybe make them larger? I noticed you've got a really dinky one over there. So are you thinking that maybe there's an option for a larger space or not?
We have a business plan. It's top secret.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just thought I'd ask the question. I'm a bit of a hoarder myself, and whilst I love the concept of the sphere, I'm thinking I would have to downsize greatly to fit into one, but it's a really beautiful concept, I think.
I see, if you're bookish like my wife is, she wants bookshelves everywhere.
Yeah, I have got mega amount of books. Yeah, over 300.
Yeah. So really, it can be whatever you want it to be. The space can be utilised and be very efficient. Behind each of the panels, we've also got extra cavities where you can fit little bookshelves, little things. So every panel has got a hidden secret.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That sounds brilliant. Oh, I do like that idea.
Yeah.
That sounds really, really good.
Lots of secrets which are going to be revealed as our customers,
ask for them.
Ask for them.
Right, okay. Well, I think I've probably asked you every single question I can think of on the spur of the moment like this. If people were interested in buying one of these amazing structures, I just find them really beautiful to look at, and they're quite quirky as well, which appeals to my sense of style, I suppose. How would they set about purchasing one?
Number one, go to our website. There's lots of different ways of getting there. So www.conkerliving.com or theconker.com or theconkerspace.com. There's loads of little things that you can, if you can't remember one of them, you will always find us on the website. And on the website, each product has its information, and you can decide which one fits your needs. And once you know what you want, you can contact us and we can put together a quotation for your needs, and then we move forward from there.
Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
I really love the concept, and I wish you every success with your business, and I hope that it does take off. It does sound pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I can see a landscape with all these different spheres all around the place, and I think it would be really nice. So thank you so much for talking to me on spec like this. I don't usually do this sort of thing, but I really appreciate your time.
No, it's been a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for, sort of loving the Conkers the way I love.
I hope you enjoyed the interview with Jag Virdie, and I hope you liked the concept of Conker living too. So how does this relate to narrowboat living? Well, I was talking to Peter about my interview and my experience at the Ideal Home Show, and he said, well, if we had a bankside mooring when we couldn't be continuous cruisers anymore, then potentially we might have services and maybe a little plot of land next to it, next to the boat. So one of these would actually add maybe an extra living space as a guest house, really, for visiting family and friends. And I thought that was absolutely a stunning idea. And if it could be plumbed in, then so much the better. So that's how it connects in my mind anyway, to us still being narrowboaters, but having a land base by the side of the canal. Does this open a few possibilities for you, maybe, if you are a narrowboater? Or if you have a plot of land or a large back garden, how about having something like this instead of a garden shed? It has so many uses, such as an Airbnb, home office, spare accommodation for your younger family, or even just a playhouse for your small child. So I just found them really interesting. I like the shape of them, I like the colours, and I wanted to share that with you. My friend and I had afternoon tea there, and they have world foods, so you've got great cuisine to choose from if you're hungry. Loads of cafes and coffee places as well, and lots and lots of interesting things to see. I didn't film any of it because this wasn't supposed to be a tour of the Ideal Home Show. It was searching for things to do with narrowboating. And whilst I didn't come up with anything specific to go on the narrowboat, well, maybe Conker living is something that can go beside a narrowboat in the future. It's still on until the 27th of March. So if you have other goals in mind and you want to go along, it's at Olympia. The nearest station is Kensington Olympia, which is directly opposite Olympia Exhibition Hall. So do take a trip down there if this is the sort of thing that interests you. So now let's get on with the tour of the interior of the Conkers. I hope you like it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you already have. Please consider doing so if you haven't. Click the notification bell just to get notified when I upload. And I hope you like the tour.
Come to the bar.